Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Ed, you okay? Okay.
Fine, thank
Are we
you.
missing Hank?
All right.
Yeah, we are.
It's 3:33. Why don't we proceed? You can join. Thanks for coming to this special meeting. I honored everybody's request to keep it just to the board. And the discussion, I'm gonna flip this to a here and to, let's see. Bear with me here. Where did it go? Share. I want to stop share. This must be it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your patience. The purpose of this meeting is the Morning Club has been talking for years among themselves, as we understand it, to join our club. Apparently the Morning Club, they all know about it and they probably talked to others. We've held this tight to the vest, although people talk. Just before Christmas, actually Ray talked to Jane and more unofficially official to get this thing going. So around Christmas time. And then Jane pulled Gwen, Jim, and I aside after a meeting and said, by the way, here's what's going on. We decided to keep it quiet to see if, in fact, the Morning Club was serious, and they are. So on February 24th, Ray formally did contact me. And so there we are with their desire to merge. We then, I immediately then got a hold of Jane, several reasons. One is her long experience and as the district governor, and for guidance and partnership with her to guide us all. We got a hold of Brad to let him know, and Bruce was already aware. And Brad, our current district governor, had some ideas. And we figured we would just take it on our own. And so that's what we did. So then Jane and I met with Ray at Wi-Fi end of February-ish, more of a one-on-one. So we're taking baby steps moving forward. We then met officially there with, there was Jim, this coming president, right? Gwen, the next year's president, myself, current president, and Jane, former president, former district governor, guidance. We met at Gwen's house and this is right when the coronavirus was taken off, and we kept a distance. We didn't know much at the time. It was about a month ago. But there was serious discussion, and the whole upshot there was that Jean-Marc took the lead on it. He had a white paper, which is a proposal of a memo of understanding that we at least take it to our board meeting, which we're doing now. We were delayed a bit because of the current world situation. And going to Zoom. So we're bringing it forward right now as what they would like to do is for our board and their board to consider a memo of understanding of the Morning Club merging with our club. And a memo of understanding is not that it's a done deal at all. What it is effectively a plan for a plan. Will we want to continue discussing at least the possibility? In his white paper, they set April 15th, which is in 2 days, as the time. Of course, everything's negotiable, but that was the date. So let's look at the why. And I'm going to go through these charts and then I'm going to just open it up. and this is from them. They don't want to just, one option they have is to just quit, fold up their tent, and join our club. They don't want to do that together. They just don't want to do that. They want to merge. And I'll dig a little deeper, and then Jane and Jim and, well, Gwen's not on the phone, but can explain some. I think they want to absolutely preserve their history and honor that. They've been around a long time, 1982. But going forward, the merge that they're looking for is to together better in a real strong spirit, effectively fold their club and join ours and be huge. We're at about 39, 38 members. If there's 10 or 15 that join, that's quite a bit. And they're coming to us. The visibility on the island, South Island, be better, combine our resources. And you can read all of this, and I can send these to you as well. Better club dynamics, deeper leadership, financial base. And they also have 21 current members. They have a number of past presidents and a lot of history. They've given a lot, so they're known in the community deep and wide. Current programs, scholarship grants, etc. Some that we do, some that we don't. They could be complementary. And they, in their memo of understanding, suggested that the first step is that we just agree in principle to talk about merging. That's it. Now, in a time frame, well, you know me, I'm thinking like Friday we can get this done. Well, they're thinking about a year from now. Could be less if we even decide to do that. So it could be during the gyms or at the end of gyms into Gwen. And Gwen's fully aware of this as well, although she's not here right now. To me, again, perspective, it doesn't look brain surgery to me, but then again, there might be. Another thing I'll throw out that I just remembered, one of the things Ray and the others said, if there's any, I'll just use my quicklum and spin. No one's looking backwards. If there's history, no one's going to discuss that. And we're moving forward in the spirit of merging, if that's what we want to do. So if there's any bad feelings or hurt feelings or anything like that, kind of too bad, so sad. I'm not going to talk about it. We are moving forward with this, with the good, strong spirit of Rotarians on South Island. And that was pretty clear from them. They then would like to look at drafting over time, and supermajority vote is what they recommend. There's 3 steps. I'm going to go through this and then I'm done. This basically 3 steps is how many in each. They've been around a long time. We take a vote eventually with the board, then to the clubs. And again, this is just a memo of understanding, plan for plan. Eventually, if we do want to merge together, their board and our board, then we'll decide on what's in a name, what is the charter date, where do we want to meet, and what's the effective date of merger. To me, that's all pretty straightforward, although people, I'm sure, will have their ideas and opinions. Then there's the more of the financial and squaring things away before, assuming there's a merge, or if there's a merge, then things have to get squared away. Is everything paid up? Any outstanding debts, reconciling bank accounts and any scholarships outstanding before we push the reset button for effectively a new club. And that's it. So I will get off of this and bear with me. Okay. And open it up. I'd like Jim and Jane to chime in if you would, based on.
I think Jane has a formal motion to propose.
Do.
I actually moved that the representatives from both of the clubs, from the Rotary Club of Whidbey West Side and the Southwest, and the Rotary Club of South Whidbey, meet to explore this possibility of the merger of the two clubs. So that's a motion put forward, and now we can have discussion.
I second that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Jane, I don't know, you're taking notes, or is someone, well, I guess it's going to be, it's being recorded, so that's transcript. Seeing we have a motion and a second, we had discussion.
Yeah. You were asking about anything that we need to add. What he talked about there, the merging of the two clubs, there are definitely 4 steps that we have to go through. And definitely one is the club name. I will tell you that in our meetings with them, they really don't care about the club name. What they care about most is their history. They don't want to lose their history. And I can't blame them. They've been around since 1982. So, so the merging of that, the merging of finances, those kind of things, those kinds of things that the 2 representative groups will talk about, kind of hammer it out, take them back to the board. And then we absolutely have to have buy-in from all the members of the club before this can happen. If we move forward with the merger, and so do they, and then formal papers have to be put forth to RI in order for this to be approved, if that's what we decide to do. So there were no promises made on either side. They were very open, very straightforward, just really kind of wanting to spread Rotary around a little bit more, thinking that since they only have 20 members, they aren't quite as efficient as what it could be if the 2 clubs merge. So that's kind of the background I got from it. So Jim, you have anything to add to that?
My sense is that with a merger, some of the members of the Rotary Club of South Whidbey will choose not to join the merged club. So I think it's likely that we will not get their full current membership. We could potentially maybe get somewhere between 10 and 15. I think it's kind of been the general estimate that even the members of the other club have talked about. But the purpose of this whole motion is just to allow the 2 clubs to get together and discuss the possibility of a merger.
Sharon?
There will be a smaller group discussing the merger, if I understand that correctly.
It'll be the 2 groups that met in the beginning, the 4 of us and the 4 of them, just to keep it small first.
Right. What about an opportunity for, if we move forward with this, for all of our folks to get together? Because I mean, I used to be in that club. I don't know if I know who their members currently are, and I'm guessing that others may not as well. And I would like to have opportunities for us to get acquainted somewhere along the line if we move forward with this. I mean, to me, that's important. Maybe that's selfish because I'm membership, but I think it would really be nice for us to invite them or do something where we all can get together and get acquainted, get reacquainted in some cases.
Right. Let me answer a little bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just one thing. This is our third Zoom week, and each time, in fact, this time as well, I sent email to all of the club presidents and asked them to send it. So, and I've attended. Now, this is just maybe for what it's worth, but I've also attended, and we can all attend the morning club Zoom meetings too, which just started. So that's one easy way while we can't get together, and
Right.
but to get together that way, so that we're starting to step up to that a little bit. They're definitely invite. Yes, Jim?
we actually talked about having some joint meetings, but also potentially some joint projects, joint fundraisers, like, for instance, a garage sale. That would be a great opportunity. I remember several years ago, before Kathy and I were members, there was actually a joint garage sale, both of the clubs on the lawn there at China City. So that would certainly be a good opportunity for the two clubs to work together. Another possibility is that since we have contiguous 2-mile strips for road cleanup, we could do a joint road cleanup, potentially followed by a joint club party or club joint get together whenever we can get back together again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Sharon, and I think we can all take the opportunity to attend each other's meetings, and that would give us an opportunity to get to know each other. But I think you're right, spot on for that. I think that's very important.
It was quite interesting. Their current projects, we have similar ones. So even the projects aren't, way out of line. Like, they have a scholarship program, but theirs is an academic scholarship. Ours is a vocational scholarship. They also apply for grants. They do have, well, they did have the student exchange, and now we have that. They do have a teacher appreciation that we've never done, and Terry Rose has done that for 1,000 years, and that's just his really thing that he really likes to do. The highway cleanup. The other thing that they do also have that we've never even touched is gleaning. They do glean. I don't know that they're doing it now, of course, but I think they glean about once a week. And then, of course, they really only have one big fundraiser, and that's their annual wine auction, and that brings in about $13,000. So, as far as merging with their programs and them merging with ours, that's kind of the gist of what they have going on, just for your information.
And another thing again, Jane and Jim, keep me honest here, so to speak. What I hear, they want to merge in the right spirit. And in fact, who really wants to also would do that is Jack and Jean-Marc, at least two really, I call them superstars or that are really active drivers and want to join. So, yeah, Ed?
A couple of quick questions. Doing this program plan that you have created, you expect this group to do that, I would imagine. Yes.
It's the 8 of us, right, at first, to be able to sit down and hammer out a few things. Then we bring it back to you, and we also bring that back to the club. And
the reason's not a critical question. It's interesting. 4 of the people in the room are previous members of that club. Yourself, Rick, myself, Sharon, including every one of us been an officer at one point in time of that club before this was formed. The question I would ask is of each one of us is, do we think from our experience with the creation and the doing of that club for a year or two, that this is a good idea? If we're enthusiastic about the idea collectively, then I think we're going to be more progressive and more aggressive in putting this package together. If we have a heartburn, if one or the other of us or any of us have a heartburn, we need to see that on the table, because it might be, excuse me, but I'd like to bow out because I can't stand that guy's looks or something, something silly like that. So I just thought I'd ask that question, given the group that's arranged here.
So does anybody have any heartburn?
And you're basically asking us who were in that club earlier. I have not one problem with it. I'm fine and open to whatever.
Right.
So we're talking about Jane, Ed, Sharon, and Rick as prior members of the club, correct?
Rick and Sharon and Ed.
So that's a point, Ed. The other side of the coin, and it's a very big coin, the other side, there's a whole lot that have no idea what the history is, don't care, doesn't matter.
Yep.
So, and they'd be maybe disturbed if we were to drag something around, and that's exactly, so what you bring up, Ed, is exactly what the morning club does not want to bring up.
Right.
So I guess what you're saying is speak now or for torpedo it now or not.
If there's a heartburn, take care of it. If there isn't, then go forward enthusiastically. It's just that simple.
Does anybody have any heartburn?
No.
Okay, good.
Aaron and Rick?
Sharon, Rick?
Oh, I'm not intentionally being quiet. I just, it just depends on how it all comes together, what it is you're trying to achieve in the long haul here. You know, that, I mean, it's in the details. So, you know, when the meetings are and all that, and there's sure no heartburn over the joining back together. There was never any animosity on our end of this thing anyway. It was all about growing Rotary. So I'm a little surprised that they want to have less options, you know, because the idea was morning and evening. But if it is what we need to do to keep Rotary growing, I'm all for it. You know, just
I'm assuming that if there are no heartburns particular to an individual, then we're going to work as hard as we can on this program. No questions asked.
Okay. It was brought up. That's it. Okay, we won't talk about that anymore.
Aaron?
Sharon had something to say.
What? I think that the thing that came to my mind when I heard about it was, I think we are such a high energy, you know, and I hope we can share that energy. I don't know that I see it as much as I think we have a lot of energy. I'm not sure if they have as much energy as we do, and maybe we can, you know, rub elbows and give some of that away. I just see us as having different personalities, as all Rotary clubs do. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a comment.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sharon. A thought on that, again, just my gut thought is that there's some that are just, this is my hope, I think, chomping at the bit to do some things. Jack, Jean-Marc, and there's some others. The other ones, you know, so I don't know. But I do think it's a little bit of both, and it'll all shake out.
Well, it's so early in the process, and I would love to have a copy of their white paper of the reasons that, you know, you went through the screen very quickly. It was hard to read. I would like to read it all in a little more detail, because I don't feel like I'm very informed right now. So
no, yeah, that's the point.
Thank you.
So yeah, I will send that out. In fact, I'll probably send it out, not like right now, but in a few minutes.
Thank you.
I call a question. We've got 4 minutes left.
Oh, thanks, Jim. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to put together a plan for a plan. I will send out the document of understanding that they put together, which is basically what we went through, the hopes and dreams to come together South Whitby and all the things we're doing. In fact, a little bit, we're already doing that island-wide with the task force we've started about 2 weeks ago. It's kind of a version of that, but it's not. So we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it.
Don, are you going to share this with the club then at this meeting?
I think it's, well, what does everybody think?
I think we need to let them know that it's in the works, because the other club, they already know. Everybody in the other club knows.
We'll make it official.
We definitely need to share it, because I was out walking today. I saw my neighbor, and he is in the morning club, and he immediately started talking about it. So I think we need to get the word out right away.
Yeah,
I
I
agree
agree.
on getting it out right away. And in addition, I think sending out the link to their meeting as well. We can start right away getting to see each other. So.
Good, good, good. Excellent. Thank you. Well, here we are. Are there others to join the board meeting? No one there, Molly, else?
Not yet.
Okay, good, we're
I
in.
got 2 minutes. I got
Thanks.
2 minutes.
Before we open up the board meeting, huh?
Yeah. Call the. And I tell you, I am sleeping so hard because I'm working my tail outside so much.
So you're sleeping good, huh?
Yeah.
Here comes Bill.
Oh, Billy.
Yep.
Bring them on.
Do you all have your pins on? Because I can't see.
Yep, I do.
I
Okay,
do.
Ooh, I don't, but I sure will.
okay.
Bill, you got your pin on, Bill?
He's not connected yet to audio. There he is.
Lacey, do you have yours on?
I do not.
I
do
will.
not.
You will.
Here, give me a half credit.
Well, put 'em on.
I didn't have time to get mine on.
Who was that?
Me.
Tracy.
Crazy.
But I will. I'll go grab it at break.
Okay.
You can grab it now, Tracy.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Mhm.
Doesn't matter.
That's official. How's Billy D doing, PI?
I'm gonna go get mine.
He wants to come visit, but I won't let him.
How's Matt? How's Matt doing?
He's actually doing really good right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. He's working. So today he's working.
Hmm.
Good.
Yeah. As long as it's non-residential.
Not essential.
Only if it's a new construction. Yeah.
Essential. Yeah.
But otherwise, no.
We can't follow up with the request I sent to you.
Yeah, I mentioned it to him again yesterday. So he's just trying. He has a long list.
I bet he does. Yeah.
Yeah, and his hands are kind of tied right now because you're residential.
Yep, I know that.
And if he's outside with a ladder, your neighbor can call us or call on him, and we'll get a fine.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of things coming across the computer today. I'm on the Seattle Times alert list, and they're now talking about how to gradually reopen. I think I get about 20 to 25 emails a day from the Seattle Times, but things are looking a little better, so maybe that will change for him.
I hope it changes for me. I've been out of work a month today.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can
Jane,
Yeah.
Jane, you got
Me too. And this.
Yeah.
My neighbor says we're all going to look like Sasquatch by the end of the month. We'll have
My husband looked at me the other night and he says, "Have you ever seen the movie Death Becomes Her?"
Ow.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, I'm looking pretty bad.
Can you collect unemployment, Tracy?
So I think as of today I can go on. I'm not sure. Every day is a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet, I was one of the first people in the industry to have to go out of work besides restaurants. So I'm hoping we're going to get some kind of relief pretty soon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah. I'm getting a ton of stuff done at home now. So
Aren't we all?
yeah, I'm not complaining that much.
Right? Houses are clean.
Yeah. Yard.
So I know.
Cooking.
We had such beautiful weather to be able to work out there.
Yeah.
Hey, John, did Gwen say exactly how Celia broke her ankle?
She was out, let's see, hold on. They
It's in the
were out,
garden, that's all I
they're
know.
out in the garden.
It's in the garden.
They're out in the garden, yeah. And twisted it. Broke in 3 places. We're gonna start the meeting in a second. I have on here about an hour ago, Gwen sent a photo of the,
Pins in the plates.
yeah, yeah. It was painful just looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
sure, I
Gwen
should
just
send it out to everyone. I don't know.
Gwen just posted on Facebook that she's been there 8.5 hours, but Celia's in her recovery room right now.
Yeah. Well, and yesterday, okay, let me look, hold on here.
John, do you need me to make an announcement about the recording again? Because we have, well, Bill's joined us.
Yeah, Bill's here. Anybody else join? Okay, good. Please make an
So,
announcement.
Bill,
Yeah.
this is being recorded. Can you just nod your head that you're okay with that? Great, thank you.
Okay, I am going to thank you all for coming to the board meeting. We had one about 2 weeks ago, kind of the emergency, and then we're having one now, and I'm looking for okay, hold on. I'm looking to just to tee this thing up, and it, hello. I know. So, where are we here? What? What's going on?
You've been hacked.
Huh?
You've been hacked.
We're having silent happy thoughts.
No, screw the happy thoughts. No, still trying to get it. Well, let me find it. I gotta tee this thing up first. Okay. I'm glad we're not recording this. Huh? There, can you see this?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Well, we had our closed meeting, and Bill,
You want to sing?
you know,
Can everybody,
my business
can-
continues, but I can't take the call.
can you mute your phone?
I just turned it off.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We have a nomination, first of all, for Jane to be the COL. Jane, can you explain what that is, please? And
Yeah,
process?
that's Council on Legislation, and you have to be a past district governor in order to be the representative from your district for that. It's a 3-year term, and in the past, the district governor was able to appoint that person. And I was appointed last year, I think, as the alternate. But now RI has come out with standards of how it's to be done. And so the Rotary Club that I belong to has to nominate me for this position. And then I need to I'll let Brad know that. And that's what it's about. So what you do for council legislation is you attend meetings. They're quite large and quite long, and they actually change legislation for Rotary. And then at one point, you used to be able to go to, which I'm sad about, used to be able to go to Rotary 1 in Chicago every single year for things, but they have gone to online meetings now. And then you just go to Chicago once, and all that's taken care of by the district. So Bill Robson was the rep, but he's really busy, and so he resigned. And past district governor Wayne Weeb is the current one, but his year ends as of the 1st of July this year. So I would take over the 1st of July if my nomination is approved. And once we send this off to district, and the board approves it or doesn't approve it. So I just need to know whether anybody would like to nominate me to do
I
that.
move to nominate Jane as the COL from our club.
Second. Everybody else seconds it.
So Jane, is this a one-year term?
No, it's a 3-year term.
Oh, okay.
So we haven't, you're being nominated. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
What is the procedure then, Jane? You'll let me know when.
I need to let Brad know that it was done at these minutes, and then he takes it from there.
Okay, so you're all set.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, this is only a nomination. Somebody else might have spoken it too. They do ask past district governors if they are willing to do it, you know, so a lot of the past district governors are busy with other things as you go through the whole process of finance committee and grants chair and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, there may be somebody that steps up for it too.
Oh, good. It'd be good.
I'll let you know.
Okay, good. And Sharon, membership.
I was going to say it's to our advantage to have Jane in that position, because as things change, we will know it first before we get it in writing. So good job, Jane. Yes, I have had a number of edits to our new member club information, and I have, I think, taken most of those edits to heart. I have sent out another copy, and I have made like 2 small edits since the one that you received a couple of days ago. So I would like to move that we accept the revised edited version of the club information handbook that is made available to new members.
Yeah, all in favor? Or any discussion, first of all? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great job. We're getting a lot done. Fantastic. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, team. Thank your team. Jane, you want to bring us up to speed on grants, please?
Oh yeah, the Island Beach access that we actually got an extension for that because it's time to close the grant out, but they couldn't get permitting, and so I talked to Malcolm and I just said, hey, you know, they're not going to be able to do this until probably June or July. And is there any way we can get an extension? Because we really don't like to give grant money back, you know? And so they did. They approved the extension, but then we got, when this whole virus hit, we got an email from Mel withdrawing it and saying that, you know, it's on hold like forever. So we actually had to give that money back, and Kathy sent the check in just this last week. Did you, Kathy?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and so we can readdress this later on, and once they get their permits, we may be able to apply again for next year. But right now, that money's been given back, and so that frees up $2,200 or $2,500. I can't remember exactly the amount of our own club money because we don't have to match it. So if we decide to use that money someplace else, it's there. If we decide that we want again later in the year to apply for a grant for the access, the Island Beach, which is such a good program. I mean, it's such a good project. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. And the other one had not closed out. It is closed out now. I went back in and I closed that one out. So good, in good standing with the district.
Thank you, Jane.
Just a comment on the grants. The one grant for Whidbey Children's Center has 7 cents left in the account. Since that is closed now, I'm going to transfer that 7 cents to our Rotary Foundation account. Do we want to close out the other Island Beach Access account and transfer that money, or do we want to leave that there in that checking account in case we, in case Island Beach Access gets their act together and is able to actually do that?
And we have to reapply then, yeah.
Yes.
Gosh.
I have a comment.
Yep.
We've worked closely with Mel on a variety of his Island Beach access projects. And I would suggest that we leave it in place because I'm quite certain that he'll be back with yet another activity here near term, summer or something like that. I'd suggest leaving it there.
So is there a time frame to leave it there, do you think, or just leave it indefinitely with the hope and the bet?
Readdress it in 6 months or so with Mel to see if they are indeed going to pursue it. And
Right.
if they're not going to, then we can always close it out and close that account out and transfer the money. But we're earning a few pennies interest, so it doesn't hurt anything to leave it open if we see that there's any possible chance that they are going to actually complete that project.
Rick, what?
He's asked support for grant monies for activities on several occasions, and his opportunities occur periodically, and we'll just have to wait. But I think waiting at least 6 months and see what he comes up with, and if nothing, take it back then. Save some paper.
Sounds like a good idea. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay, good. Let's do
Aye.
that. Great. Anything else there, Jane?
Nope, that takes care of the grants.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Jim, quarterly?
Yes, probably about an hour ago, I sent out an email, maybe a little longer than an hour ago, that has all the financials, and I do apologize for the late notice, but everyone hopefully got it. I haven't checked my email to see if I got it. Did anyone get it?
I got it.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, I think page number 5 is really the notes for the net income and our current bank balances. And there's been a little bit of change in the net income from the last report. The undefined is up a little bit. This is net income is up a little bit because of the sponsorships that Tracy got for the would-be Derby, the Island Derby, or whatever the name is. We actually have a little bit more in Christmas tree sales because a check that had been written a year and a half ago never got cashed, so I finally took it off the book. So that added almost $100 back, and that's really about it as far as the income, net income. Our bank balances, our projects account is still healthy at $25,000, and that's after transferring an additional $20,000. Well, since the beginning of this calendar year, since January, and we've transferred, I think, a total of $45,000 to the foundation. And then our operations account is also healthy, and we've got the reserve account at 4,000 plus change. So, and then there are two budgets. One is the projects fund, and the other is the operations fund. And I'll just make a couple of comments, starting first on the projects fund. Under income, the undefined, that amount includes the sponsorships that I just mentioned. And likewise, on the expenses, undefined expenses also includes some expenses that have already been paid for that. And I think that's pretty much it, unless somebody has any specific questions. The on the operations fund, as is almost always the case with our dues and meeting fees, we are almost always under budget this time of year because we typically get an addition, an influx at the end of the year from the billing that is sent out to all the members before for the next Rotary year, but we get it in this Rotary year. So it really should pretty well even out. We are over budget on the, we're actually under budget slightly on the District 50/50 dues. That's because the district only bills once a year. We are over budget on the Rotary International dues, and that's because they bill twice a year. And because of our increase in membership, we have to pay an additional amount. So that's a good thing to have. And unless somebody has, we are also over budget on a couple of other items. One is my president-elect training. I think we budgeted $700 or something like that. And I chose to go early and take an extra session, which is, yes, it's the first one on the second page of the operations fund. I chose to go early on an extra day, so that's why there's an increase in that cost there. Otherwise, we are at least at this point under budget for our total membership education costs. Also of note is under the treasurer's expense, we are significantly over budget because under the supplies area, there are a number of things that were not in the budget when the budget was developed at the end of last Rotary year. One is a purchase of t-shirts. The second is the addition of the Greater Giving software. And then the third, of course, is the new laptop and software that accompanies that. But the old laptop was about dead, and I haven't buried it yet, but the new laptop is wonderful. So that's really about all I have to say, unless some of you have questions.
Question, John?
Yeah, Rick?
Jim, I know that this is the club meeting and not the foundation meeting, but during the foundation meeting, are you going to summarize what we've got in that account as well?
Well, actually, Kathy will. She's the foundation.
Okay, that's all I
treasurer.
was, yeah, that, I know that that's the other, actually not even the club, but it was, I think it's always good to know what else we have total available, so.
Yeah.
Did that last month, but I'll be happy to do that again.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not after it right now. We talked about it when we transferred the money, I know.
Yeah, Sharon?
One thing too, Alicia is back as an active member and her dues were paid for the appropriate amount of time, but several of us talked and agreed that maybe we don't need to charge her meeting fees since there are no meetings at this point, and we can err on the side of kindness. And you know, once we are back meeting at Bloom's, those fees are appropriate, but she's not going to benefit from them at this point in time. And you know, I don't want us to set a precedent that we can't follow up with in the future. So if anybody has any comments on that, why don't you just let me know, and then I can bring it back to a future board meeting.
I just have a kind of an extension of that, because depending on how long we are unable to meet, we might want to consider some alteration in our next Rotary year to give credit to the members for the meeting fees that they paid, but the period of time when we didn't have meetings. So that's just something that we'll, I think, hold for the next board. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon?
Thought on that, Jim, might be that perhaps that's a good way for everyone to, if we aren't going to take the money back, let's apply it to our Paul Harris, or offer an option where if the club is going to give something back, can come back to me, or it could go to Paul Harris. Might be a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there are that's certainly a possibility, and we can maybe choose several potential options for each individual club member to decide upon.
And some could be a refund if wish.
Yeah.
If they,
Yeah. So Jim, let me ask this, might be sensitive, I'll ask. Will we still be given to Blooms then during the time we're shut down?
No,
Okay, alrighty.
I don't think
Just-
that they expect it since they're not
Okay.
Buying appetizers. That's what we pay for.
yeah,
Well, I
that's
just-
really what the meeting fees are. But on the other hand, I think that it would be helpful for us as members to support them. We actually had our dinner, we ordered our dinner takeout last evening, and it was quite tasty.
Thanks for sharing.
we did Saturday. It was excellent. So
They have, which you might have seen, what's it, e-purchase or something. And Janice and I did that, and I saw it and I figured, reflected on it and did. And just sharing with you that we can, help out our locals just by buying. And Virginia sent a really nice personal email saying, hey, you're one of the first, John, thanks. We didn't know this would work. Ken kind of discovered this, and it's like, and I say, well, hot damn, that's good. So it's working for them. And in
And
that,
you can also,
and in that spirit, Ti, I'm wondering if there's, for your company, and if there's like electronic.
Yeah, I'm actually able to pay my next month's rent because people purchased gift certificates and bought
That's
product from me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, you were gonna.
oh, I was just going to say, Blooms, I think, also has the possibility of buying gift certificates.
yes.
I do too, if you know anybody needing a house designed.
Sounds essential, Rick.
It is if you don't have one.
I know. Okay, good. Anything else on that topic? Thank you, Jim. That's a lot of hard work and
Thank you.
good. I bet you've, and I mean this in a sense, you've learned a lot looking at the numbers and what's going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a real insight being a financial director.
Yes. Yes, I am still learning.
No, but that's really the core. That's the core of it, where the money's spent. Let's see, Molly, anything in your neck of the woods?
Nope.
Well, I think you kind of did it, right? A couple weeks ago, recommended, and we did talk to Gwen, and I don't know if she's busy with Celia right now, but about getting an ad or an announcement out for the 40,000, and she's been kind of busy and tied up, and she thought she did. She's gonna check on it first thing in the morning. But anyways, we need to get something out and recognized. I know our 3 recipients, they've sent us photos and they're sharing what we've done. But I think it's also important that we get it out to the news as well. And obviously, Gwen's been busy on many other things as well, podcasts and all. Ti, anything in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I mean, I'm moving forward with planning black tie blue jeans. In my head, if we can't get out soon, I mean, I think we can push black tie as late as November.
Oh, good.
We'll have to rent heaters.
Or we might have
Long
to
underwear.
find a different location. I mean, it might be in our best interest to even push it out to September at this point, but I'm just kind of waiting to see what the world's going to be like next month. But I'm just, yeah, moving forward. I've had a few people agree on their live auction items that donated last year, so I'm really happy about that. And I'm going to be putting out some emails about the silent auction baskets, who wants to do what. So, yeah, I'm going to move forward. And I'm really hoping to do a garage sale this summer because our storage unit is packed.
Yeah, Tracy, you've got some feedback on your audio, so you might disconnect and reconnect again, see if it clears up.
Like
You're
all together.
garbled.
No, your audio is very fuzzy, so we're all having a hard time hearing you. And at some point after, it may make sense for you to log back out and log back in, but I was thinking if you disconnected your audio and then reconnected it. She's gone, so she'll come back.
I like that idea of the heater rather than the change of venue. I think some of the contractors have got some great ones we use to keep dry the drywall and stuff. We could heat that thing up if we need to. So that venue is a good one, and I would say we stick with it if we can.
Yeah, Ed, do you know, as since the venue is owned by the port, do you know if there are any restrictions on having portable heaters in the pole building? You're muted. You're muted, Ed.
We can't hear you, Ed.
Expected the dogs to come running through. I don't know that question specifically, the answer to that, but I will get it to you, Tracy, if that helps. And I'll get it to everybody. But I don't recall an event that we actually used heaters. I'm trying to think through fairs and the like, and nothing. Don't know.
I would think.
I'm sorry, I had
that,
to reconnect.
Good.
So
Well,
Tracy, my question to Ed was, is there any restriction by the port for using heaters inside the pole building? And I would think that as long as there's not any open flame or open coils or anything like that, it ought to be acceptable.
Okay, yeah.
That's what's got my curiosity, because in the kitchen dining area next to it and in a couple of other places we do have heaters. So let me run it to the ground, please.
Great, thank you. I would really like to see this event take place this year if we can.
Very good.
Yeah.
It'd be a real celebration, won't it? Yeah, Sharon, please.
One of my neighbors mentioned the other day that she has Derby Day parties, and the Derby has been moved.
I know who you're talking about.
You know Judy.
I know Judy.
She always has a party, and I was pretty sure you knew that Derby Day can be later in the year. So anyway, it's a heads up that it could happen maybe.
So in my head, if the world gets back to normal, we'll have black tie blue jeans in August, and we can have the Derby in October, the tree sales in December.
Mm-hmm.
That's in my perfect world. So we'll see. I haven't given up on the Derby yet because I put so much work into it, and we're there. Like, we have it all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I really want to do a garage sale this summer because that storage unit, I can't walk through it.
So Tracy, last week I attended the fundraiser for the Washington Environmental Council, which is a gigantic affair, and they moved the whole thing into an online forum that actually worked quite well. So if you're interested, I can pass that information on to you.
Okay.
Just so you have a fallback.
Jim and I were also offered, we bought that program, the Greater Giving, and they offered us for free, which is normally $1,600 to do online bidding. So if worse comes to worse, maybe we could get some baskets together and do an online auction as well.
Jane, can I ask you a question? Do you know whether the LaConner Club, which uses Greater Giving, has the online bidding?
Oh.
Have they used the online bidding? Okay.
So
I
Well,
this,
if we can get it for free, I would see no reason why we shouldn't get it.
No, I absolutely agree, because if the world's not back to normal, we can do an online auction possibly if we can't get large groups together.
again, I'm happy to share how this particular event went. They broke it down into tables, and the whole thing was hosted by the tables. They had a silent auction. They had all of the primary speakers that they had planned, and then they had people who kind of popped in to each of the table Zoom meetings. So it actually worked quite well, and they raised more than they had been planning. So that was a good sign too.
And it was all online.
It was all online.
Yeah,
Everything was.
I would like to touch base with you in the middle of the week.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Great. Anything else, TI?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Ed and Bill?
Yeah, last week, 2 weeks ago, we postured in the club meeting, putting a plan together, and a planned meeting with the Key Club up at the high school. That those things did in fact take place, and with John's help, we ended up with an action item list, which Bill and his infinite skills with the computer created not only the items that are planned for the plan, but individual sub-items as to specific actions and actions that we're going to take and actions that have already begun. So we'll be, as this program, whatever one wants to call it, comes to fruition, or at least gets a little farther down the road, we expect we'll be able to fill this out pretty rapidly. We've gotten help from Kayla Phillips, who is kind of a lead for all of the clubs at the South Whidbey High School, as well as has volunteered to take on the task of rewriting the constitution from the Key Club, getting the key items out of their constitution. Bill and I have taken on the assignment of getting the club's version of the constitution, and then we'll sit down and meld those together for review. But so far, lots of enthusiasm on their part, and I think on our part to see it moving along as well as it is. So,
We're hoping.
John, thanks for the help with your blue chart. John joined the group for long enough to create a chart, and we've used that as the guidelines. Thank you.
We're hoping also to get a letter out with a questionnaire to the kids in both clubs to get a better idea of their profiles and those things which they're interested in vocationally, so that we can start molding plans for, more than what we've been doing. Obviously, the Key Club's going to have a broader interest aspect, and we'll also get, hopefully out of that, if we can get it done, interest in the various community projects that they have thoughts on.
That's a perfect example of what we've postured for the last 3 years now, and that is the Interact is the umbrella. In the case of Kayla Phillips, she is not only head of keeping all the clubs in place at South Whidbey High School, but she also is the math teacher. Roy Newton is the leader of the Key Club, the adult advisor for the club, but also runs an exercise program at the school and is the Spanish teacher. Jenny Kokenauer, who is the other Spanish teacher at the high school, has been involved with the club now since we started. And so between those individuals who know what both clubs are trying to do, coupled with the fact that they're well connected with the principal, he is on top of whatever we're up to, and enthusiastically supporting us. So we're headed in the right direction. The devil's in the details, as it always is, and we'll keep working at that. Any questions?
Just, Rowan is officially not able to go now. Bill, is that right?
Rowan is, we talked to him. In fact, I talked to Ray yesterday or Saturday, and district is talking almost daily about what they're actually going to do. As I understand it, the closest he can come to a decision is that it will not happen in August. It may happen in January. Rowan knows that it may very well not happen in August. So it's wait and see time for him.
Every time we get feeling bad about our situations in this virus program, I think of him. He's been working his tail off for a long, long time. He's done remarkable accomplishments in terms of licensing and certification and so on. Gets the program all tucked, and now he has to sit, go back to school, find other things to keep him busy, and wait for some answer to come from heaven. So we're trying to keep his spirits up until we know better.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him he's not going ever, or at least not until next year. That would give him one direction. Telling him cool his heels today and tomorrow and the next day is going to be hard for a young man like that. So
Right.
we'll keep you informed.
You mentioned about and I'm really just curious, so we all know, as the Key Club and another merger going on, right? There's going to be a questionnaire, and what is the
Purpose?
guts of it?
The nature of the Interact is taking two clubs and putting them together. That's one process, and we're going to go through that.
Right.
The other thing is to make sure that the clubs are responsive. Flying was a way of getting the club going. That's
Right.
how we resurrected Interact. Was we happen to have half a dozen kids, some of who were farther along in the process of getting a certificate or a license, others who were just curious about aviation because dad works at Boeing or something like that. So what we did along the way was to ask the kids in the flight club, what's your goal in being interested in the flight club? Is it to be a private pilot? Are you interested in military flying? Or what's the reason you're interested in the flight club? And we use that to guide some of the activities, like what kind of museum or what kind of manufacturing facility for light airplanes and so on. Things that fostered that enthusiasm that they expressed in their questionnaire. We intend to do the same with all of the students one more time, so that we know that maybe there is a significant interest in mathematics, and we've got a mathematics instructor, and just like Jenny Kokenauer, and we've got the tools and the facilities and the personnel to work those particular interests, so that there's an umbrella and there's going to be areas of interest that we're going to foster and support.
The questionnaire that we've been going over or starting with Kayla, and Kayla is the marketing teacher. She may as well be the math teacher, but she's a marketing teacher and was interested in obviously in us broadening this well beyond aviation. What vocation, is it basket weaving? Is it chef? Is it whatever? So that we can start to mold the various other interest levels around the wheel that we talked about earlier. And Kayla was, because she is a marketing teacher, said Zach is in her class, and Zach has all of the questionnaires that we got from the aviation flight group. So that's a start, but we're broadening that now, if that answers your question, John.
Right, just curious, because of the distancing, physical distancing and all, and Well, I'm just thinking there's also the Survey Monkey that you could be just remote, and then they could add them up.
Yep.
But if you need any help on that, then I can help you on that.
Good. Yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
there might just be a thought there. Excellent. Anything else, Bill and Ed, on that? Good work. Wow. Okay, thank you. I would have Gwen talk about her podcasts and she's newsletters, and she's hardly missed a week. She's going to double up on the next newsletter. There's a lot going on there. Let's see, Rick, anything?
Oh, but I want to ask you about the banner. Did it go up?
The banner is up. It went, thank you. The banner went up. We'll give an update there on the Would-be Rotary PPE Task Force, right? Been in business just over 2 weeks now. Each club put in $2,000, that's 8,000. There was individuals that put in more. The district put in 5,000, and that money's been distributed already. The banner was designed and Celia had that produced. She's got a back channel place. It came on Monday, I think it was, during our meeting, and they delivered it, I think, Thursday. Ron, we were gonna volunteer to go put it up at a distance, of course, and they said no. So they put it up. I think it went up on Friday. I've got a photo of it that I'll show at our next, maybe put it up during a happy half hour or something like that. But it's up there, and I was trying to figure. I haven't been out of the house. I'm not allowed out of the house, but I wanted to really go by and take a look at it. I'm not sure where it is. It's two-sided, so traffic coming and going or whatever. And it's up there, 4 foot by 10 foot.
John, can you give us a status on where we are with the masks that were purchased by individuals?
Um,
I have a nurse daughter who's waiting.
well, I know, and everybody is too. I check with Jack every day, and they'll be coming in. As soon as they come in, we'll figure out, get them distributed. And Jane, anything?
Yeah, I've got them set up, and Jim should be receiving checks. He probably has already from people that have ordered them and have sent their money into him, made out to Rotary Club.
Yeah.
And
How many?
I've got 3 people who are going to go out and deliver them. It's not going to take that long to deliver them. We'll just take them and put them on their porch steps and let them know.
We just need them. How many?
If you need help with that, don't hesitate, please.
Okay, thank you. 39.
Oh, good. Good. Very nice. Yeah, Jack opened that up to all the clubs. In fact, he's opened it up. Molly, do you want to mention anything about
Sure, yeah. I think it was the next day after last Monday when Jack was talking about his connections with getting some masks. I received a note from the agency that I used to run down in Seattle, which treats about 2,500 people with opioid use disorder, and they serve about 6,000 people who are homeless in King County, that they were looking for 10,000 masks. So I got on my social media and just said, help, is there anybody who can assist with getting some masks? And I also sent it to John and to Jane, because I knew that we had a PPE task force. Well, Jack chimed in immediately and said, I can get you 10,000 masks, which I was floored with, frankly. Discussions continued, and it looks as though things have gotten a little bit more challenging getting orders out of China right now. And I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if it's because they got flooded with requests or who knows, but he said to me that he had 2 orders that of 10,000 masks each, I think, that were scheduled to be coming in, and he would let me know if there were any extras that we could reallocate to the agency down in Seattle, which again is incredibly generous of him. But it sounds as though things have just gotten a little bit tighter with getting products out of China.
Right. It was probably a week ago or almost 2 weeks ago now, we kind of put this scheme, so to speak, together, and it was after the fact. They were drop shipped, air shipped out, and that's what cost a lot of money. Otherwise, it'd be months on the boat, slow boat from China, right? But they airlifted them out, and Jack commented, because it's actually through his wife connection, uh, that Jack commented that right after our ship, literally or figuratively, or right around that time, the Communist Party started to lock down on things. And if it said something like medical on it, which these may not, then they couldn't go at all. They just locked down tight. So he got them out right in time. We'll leave it at that.
Who would have
Thank you.
questions?
Thanks.
Yeah, that's read between the lines. So Jack is a good guy, and he wants to join our club. So let's see, Kathy, any update on?
Yes. Rick, you asked about the bank account for the foundation. Our checking account has $21,631.97 in it right now. We do need to, I've done the third quarter financials and did a P&L detail, and we do need to have a foundation meeting, even via Zoom, so that we can look at the board, the foundation board can look at those financials, and then they can go forward to the club. So if we can get that organized, I don't know, we could also work on the bylaws if we could get a meeting together.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kathy. This Zoom we have here is for our club. I think it'll hold 140 simultaneous, and at the same time, people. So this is dedicated to whatever we want to do. There is a Google Calendar that I know Gwen has sent that to me, and she's going to resend it tomorrow probably, and so that we can coordinate. And then as there's committee meetings and other discussions that you're talking about right now, finalizing the bylaws, we can set that up, and then each of us can tag on to the Google Calendar and set up a meeting.
So I'm not sure who's going to do that. If Jane's going to do that, Melissa.
I was just waiting to
Well,
get information from Gwen. I talked to John about, foundation bylaws, and he said that Gwen was getting this out, and so I've just been waiting on that. Once we get that going, we'll be it.
So actually, if right now we wanted to set a meeting, we could just do it. Or Jane, do you want to send out time frames?
I know. Yeah, right.
Why don't you do that? Okay.
Right, we don't need very much time to look at the financials, but we could maybe just carve a few minutes out and then get those approved so we can move them on.
Okay.
The other two things, the Service Above Self Award for our community non-Rotarian nominees. I have received one nomination, and Celia has somebody that she wants to nominate, and I told her I would help her with it, and then unfortunately she got injured. So I'll work with her to try to get that written up, and then I'll send them out to the board members. That will be 2, and Wednesdays was the deadline. So I don't anticipate any more unless anybody has any that they're sitting on. Okay. And then the last thing is the Every Rotarian Every Year. It's about time to set that up for all of our club members. So I'll be doing that in early May and make sure that all of our club members get $25 into their Paul Harris recognition account for their birthdays from our club.
Good. Good. Anything else? Good. Another task that I was talking to Robin over the last couple of weeks, and Robin started a mask making project, and I sew, especially when it's raining and I'm not outside or can't go outside. So is my mask. So we are making masks out of fabric. I met her in the parking lot. She handed me a package of about 20, a kit. So I'll be sewing those together, guys sew. And what we'll do with that is give them locally. I know I have some church, elderly people at church that want them. And Good Cheer is looking for them and all. So they're 2 fabrics, and if anybody wants to make any and has a sewing machine, or easy to do, even I can do it. So Rick, you can do it.
Oh, sure I could.
The Halloran mask making is right down the hall, and it continues on a daily basis.
Perfect. Good. And let's see, what else? We missing anything? We got everything?
Oh, I want to give a report on the scholarship program.
Yes.
I need to meet, and there again, I was waiting for Gwen with the calendar. I need to meet with my committee. I have 9 applications or requests for applications. Let's put it that way. I have 8 of them that are still out there, but over the weekend, I got one from a lady she's not a teenager and she's not in her 20s. And she wanted the application. I don't know where she got the information from because I didn't ask her that, but I sent it to her and I already have it back. So we have one to interview. And so I want to be able to meet with my committee first because we were doing some updating, and then we'll set up a Zoom interview with her. And Jim, what do we have left in there? Is it $7,000 or? Pardon me? Can't hear you.
It's a foundation account.
Oh,
The
okay.
vocational scholarships come from the foundation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So
And we should have $9,000 left.
but we gave Kiana 3,000, so there should
You haven't given the third 1,000 yet. The first 1,000 came from the club. The second 1,000 came from the foundation once that money was transferred to the foundation. And we have not sent her the third $1,000 yet.
What's going to be left in there is 7,000.
7,000.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Just so I know that when we do the interview,
Yes. Mhm.
have an idea of how much money we can give away. And
Yeah.
I also have a question on that. When does that get, when do we put more money into that program? When it's all gone? Or say all 8 of these come in and we'd like to give each one of them 2,000, well, that's $16,000. Initially, I thought it was 10,000 a year that was going to be ear tagged for that, but maybe I was wrong. So anybody have, that was during your year, Kathy.
Yeah, as far as I know, it wasn't $10,000 a year. It was $10,000 that was set aside for vocational scholarships. But unless we spend the money, it seems kind of odd to keep putting more money in it. So I think we need to see if we're gonna be using all that money, and then
Just come and reapply to the
reapply for more. And if the foundation doesn't have it, then the club can transfer it to the foundation.
All right. So we're not limited by the 7,000. Say all the other 8 come in. We don't have that much money. So
Right.
I guess that's what I kind of need to know for the committee to say, all right, yeah. And then I guess we would have to come to the club or to the foundation and say, can we have more? This is what we're looking at.
Right. Right. Since the foundation is managing those funds, you'd come to the foundation. If we didn't have the money, we could ask the club for it, but.
Okay, just so I know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But Jane, I would guide to, before they're committed to an individual, that the club's committed it so that it exists.
You mean once we run out of the money?
Well, I think, and if you run out of if the well runs dry, then
We have to come and
It have to be approved,
there.
certainly.
Yeah, so I'd just caution,
Sure.
you know, I wouldn't assume
Oh,
probably will be replenished, but I wouldn't, okay,
sure.
I
Yeah.
know, okay. Good.
Hey,
Anything
Jane-
else?
Jane, I have a question. This might go to Gwen too, but if we can hold the interest of these kids in the Key Club and the Interact Club together long enough while they're out of school, with enough of them, is there any reason why we couldn't use this venue for this site for a Zoom meeting to join those two?
Oh, yeah, I would think so, right, John?
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic idea, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, what I'm thinking, we own this. It's ours, dedicated. It's the Rotary Club, so it's just coordinating the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I right that the only restriction is you can't have two meetings going on at the same time?
And that's why there's the calendar, and we'll get better at it. Yeah, so we schedule it like a conference room, right? That's what this is, virtual conference room. Good. Bill and Ed, that's a really good idea. I didn't think about that. That's a really good idea. Why don't you plan on one like this week or next week? We're burning daylight. So, and you may get a few that join, and then the others will say, hey, why wasn't, and then they want to join.
So what do we do, John? Do we send an email to Gwen and say, I'd like to schedule a meeting for my, vocational? and
Well, yeah,
is
yeah.
that-
I believe the answer is there's a Google Calendar,
Okay.
and then we'll see who has access to that. I think all the directors should have access to that.
Okay.
And then it's like the conference room, right? Or then you just sign up for it.
When somebody's there and they can schedule theirs at a different time.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't done that yet, but I think that's the answer. Sharon?
No, I think, Jane, you're absolutely right from my talking with Gwen earlier that she assigns you as the group leader and then you can bring whoever you want into your meeting. So Gwen has the ability to just assign us
Yeah.
as the leader of a committee to do something and then we can call the others in. So I think as long as it's not two at the same time, we're good to go.
Right. And we're a minute, this is very productive, and we're a minute away from one of the things that I decided unilaterally to do, just so everybody knows, is that while we're on Zoom, and this is our third time, the happy thoughts got a little choppy and all. So the 5 to 5:30 is the happy thought half hour. And once that's done, then we launch into our meeting with Pledge of Allegiance director reports. Not happy thoughts, because we have a whole, we're kind of all together here anyways. So once we get back in person, then we can resume that. But it does take a lot of time, and our meetings have been running longer. So that's that. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Anything else we're missing? Great. You want to turn?
I move adjournment.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Molly, do you want to cut the recording?
Yes. Yes, I will do that. And I also just opened up the meeting so people can come
Yeah.
as they.
And by the way, Molly is the Wizard of Oz on all of it. Thank you, Molly. So we call the meeting together here, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's say it together. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
of
the
the United States
of
America,
and to the republic for which it
stands
one
one
nation,
nation under God, indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
I want to do it with the That's good.
The Pledge of Allegiance, although we're all off a little bit, it all means the same thing, doesn't it? And it's a kind of an example of we're all in this together. It's been a month now. And the Rotary Club of Whidbey West Side has been on it. In fact, unfortunately, Celia broke her foot, and Gwen is dealing with that right now. And so here's the agenda for today, and then I'm gonna, we'll have director reports. And also, what I'll do right now is address that. Then we'll talk about the merger. The South Woodby Rotary Club would like to merge with us, and I'll talk about that. And also, we have Masks Sewing Circle. And then Ashley will be our guest speaker. So at this point, I'm going to stop this and look at each other. Right. And there. Good. So welcome everyone. And where I see a lot of nice marks on, you know. Yeah, there you are. Good. Great. And one of the things that we've started, Robin is a sewer. And Robin and I were talking and she said, well, let's start making masks. So we're making masks from fabric. Here's one that I made. Guys can sew. So Mark and everybody, the guys can, and it works really great. So Robin has kits, and if you're interested in sewing, the masks then will go to, there's some that I'm going to take to kind of elderly people at our church, and the Good Cheer could use those as well, and any other that you'd like to give them to. A quick
Question, John?
Hank?
Quick question.
Yes.
Those cloth masks, how long can you wear them and how do you sanitize them after each use?
Well, what I do is I'll wash them and
use
use
bleach
them
or
until
just-
until they fall apart.
Now, there's some versions of those cloth masks that have the coffee filter in them or that have some kind of disposable filter kind of thing. So I don't know if that pattern allows for that.
Yeah, you know what? There are so many patterns out there. This one that Robin made were just very simple. Even I can do those, right? So very easy to do.
Yeah.
So they're very, very easy. Let's have director reports. Any director would like to give an update?
Would you like to have an online sausage making party?
And then you eat it virtually?
Okay, no, that was a joke, forget it.
All right.
Bill, why don't you give a little recap? Bill Leeds?
Okay. All right. Well, we're still in the process of merging the aviation group with the other club, and they're going through their paperwork this week, trying to get the constitutions all to match, and we should be calling them Kayla next week, or Roy, and taking the next step, which hopefully will be a questionnaire and a letter that goes out to all of the kids that are in both clubs, the Key Club and the Aviation Group, with a questionnaire that asks them, what do you really want to do with these clubs, and what's your vocational interest, what's your community interest, and so on, so we can start from scratch. Sort of scratch, but we'll start with a clean slate. And we were talking about perhaps having a Zoom meeting with all of them together because they're going to be out of school, looks like the rest of the year. So trying to hold their interest together, but that's where we are. We're still in touch with the leaders and getting things moving forward. So next year we know will be a good year, but this year is going to be sporadic to the extent that we can hold people together.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
David has a whole program developed for rocketry, if that would be of interest.
You had mentioned that before, and I think that's a great idea because rocketry, I can guarantee you that some of those kids will be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, robotics also, but rocketry
robotics.
is something different.
Was it robotics or rocketry?
Rocketry. Rocketry's got a whole thing, both.
Okay, well, I can guarantee you that some will be interested. So that was certainly, that would be one that we want to include. And I want to follow up with you on that. I have that in my notes, Janice, from last week. That's absolutely. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other director reports? Kathy?
Okay.
I just want to remind everyone that Wednesday's the deadline for submitting a nomination for the Service Above Self Award for someone in our community who is a non-Rotarian, who exemplifies our motto of service above self. The form I sent out to all club members probably a month ago. It's also on our Club Runner website on the front page where all the documents are in the lower right-hand corner. So you can find the Service Above Self nomination form there as well. Wednesday's the deadline. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce, would you like to give any update?
As most of you know, we had the banner was delivered to the hospital. Saw the pictures. It hopefully gets into the would be on the record. The 8,500 masks and the we had gloves, 7,000 gloves, I guess, and then we had 500 gloves got delivered to. Was it the fire department? Is that what was it? That John or?
Yep.
And then
transit.
Excuse me, Wood Valley Transit for the transit people. And then Ashley is going to talk a little later, and our group we still have money left over, and we're dedicating $1,000 to her group that you will hear from later as our guest speaker.
Super. Thank you, Bruce. Any other director reports?
I have one.
Yes.
Okay.
Jane.
I have two. We had a grant, and it was for the Island Beach Access, which we've had some problems because they've had problems getting permits. Anyway, the grant is up right now, and we got an extension, but with this virus that's going on, I got an email from Mel, and they can't get their permits in time. So we are giving that grant up. We are holding the money hopefully for later, and we can reapply for that grant. So that might happen later on. The other grant that we had, which was for the school kids, that one is done and over with. And then as far as vocational scholarships go, I have had 9 applications. Right now, I have one that actually has replied with documents and in those applications. So I will call a meeting of our club, of our committee, and we will probably do a Zoom meeting with her to do an interview and see what's going on there. And hopefully we'll be able to give her some money to be able to go on. So those are my 2 reports.
All right, super. Thank you, Jane. Any other reports?
I have one, John.
Yes, Sharon.
Just an update for everybody. We have done some edits on our club information brochure, and for all of those here who have received it, it could be just a slightly bit different. I will have it posted on the website so you can download a new one if you want to. And eventually we will hand it out to all of our members when we meet again. So thank you, that's it.
Super, thank you very much. Any other reports? Good, okay. We had a board meeting that just finished up, half hour ago. And then we had a special meeting just prior to that. And I know Ray is here, and then I would like Jane and Jim to chime in, if you would. The topic of our special meeting was the potential merger of the Rotary Club of South Woodby with the Rotary Club of Woodby West Side. The history that we went through was that they've been, and Ray, you could, keep me honest here, so to speak. They've been thinking about it for a while, and they did. It was just before Christmas that Ray talked to Jane, and Jane talked to myself and Jim and Gwen, and we held it in tight confidence and just privacy, and honored that. And then it was in February, we got together. Ray more officially suggested we get together. We did at Wi-Fi. And then from there met at Gwen's house. There were 3 or 4 from your club and our club. And the upshot is that the morning club would love to merge with our club. And if there's any deal, it's that they don't want to quit their club, they want to merge their club. And what we want to do is honor the history. They've been since 1982. They've been one of the oldest in the region. They have huge to offer, and they've come to us, and it's a real honor and a gift to combine Rotary South Woodby with all of the best, as I see it. And so in a moment, Ray, if you could say something here. So at our special board meeting, we discussed their proposal of a memorandum of understanding, which is effectively a plan for a plan, if we even want to do that. And the timing could take, of course, I think it's like tomorrow, but others think it might take a year, and that's fair. And I understand. So the board unanimously agreed to move forward to consider the possibility of merger. And so we're officially announcing that. And Ray, can I turn it to you right now, please?
Sure. I wasn't expecting this, but
I understand.
yeah, we would be happy to talk about this in a whole lot more detail. And I'm thrilled that you guys had a board meeting and agreed to the memorandum of understanding. That's all we're really looking for at this point. Yeah. So we can figure out a way to move on and move forward with this. Yeah, we don't really want to, like John said, we're not interested in just folding up our tent and going away and then just joining your club. We want to really do a merger because we have a lot to bring to the table. And as well as you guys have a great thing going, and we would kind of like to be part of that. I guess that's about all I really need to say, is that we'd be eager to get together and talk more in earnest about how to make this happen.
So Ray and everybody else in the club, once we had this meeting with our board, the motion that went forward was that the 4 representatives from our club and the representatives from the morning club would get together, and all we're going to do is talk about how this could possibly happen. It's not a done deal. It's not anything. It's an investigation of how this merger could possibly happen. So that's where we're at right now. So everybody kind of understands the background of where we are. The morning club is a terrific club. They've been around for a very long time, and they certainly want to preserve their history, which is admirable and should be. They have a lot to offer. Our club has a lot to offer. So the merging of the club is one of those things that is just expanding Rotary on Whidbey Island. And that's kind of the basic thing of the whole thing. So the board did vote for us to do that investigation with the representatives from the morning club. And as we move forward, we'll do that. And we will bring all the results to the board and to our club as they will do with their club, and we'll see what happens.
Who are the 4 folks that are doing that on your side? On our side?
On our side, it's John and Jim and Gwen who are the incoming residents, and then myself as a past district governor.
Great. I've been involved with several of these, so I'll just reach out to you guys.
Yeah, and then on Ray's side, Ray, go ahead and tell us who your representatives are.
I would have, of course, myself and Jay Ryan, Jean-Marc, and John Plakos. Jean-Marc Jose is kind of, well, he's an outstanding member that we have, and as well as all the other ones are. But yeah, the memorandum of understanding is strictly just what you said. Just trying to figure out a way to make it happen and put it together. But yeah, we're eager to get together and talk some more.
Good. Thank you. Jim, would you like to add
So will
anything? Jim?
Somebody had a question. Let them go ahead and ask a question.
Okay.
I'm just trying to lighten things up a little bit here. Will the happy hour before the morning meeting be mimosas and Bloody Marys?
Well, I guess the merge committee will eventually come up with that, and that's a good question, Hank, because, well, what'll happen is it'll come back to the board, and then it'll go to the full membership on both sides to vote. Everybody will be voting on it, so that could be one. But it does bring up another point, and Jane, would you take us through those 4 steps, please? Just so, because it's pretty straightforward.
Right. According to RI, in order to do this, there are 4 steps that we have to adhere to in order to make this happen. And the first step is that each club must individually vote on the merger following the method of voting described at your club bylaws. The second step is the merging clubs must agree on the following, which is the name of the new club merged, the charter date of the new club merge, and this is actually the date that must be the existing charter date for one of the emerging clubs. So if we decide that the name is Rotary Club of South Whidbey, it would be 1982. If it's the Rotary Club of Whidbey West Side, it would be 2012.
12.
Oh, yeah.
Or can I interject something there? Jane, maybe I'm confused, but I think that I don't think it matters what the club's name is. It just has to choose a charter day. It doesn't have to be.
Nope, that's not true. The name
the way I
of
read.
the new merged club, we have to have that, and we will take either our club or their club as the new merged club. And then that charter date of whichever club we choose is the charter date for the new club.
But we can change the name.
It's my understanding that the new club name doesn't have to be the name of either of the 2 clubs.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yep.
That's not the way I read it. But anyway, we'll deal with that later.
Right here. I'm reading it. And then the locality of the new merged club, we have to admit that, and the effective date of the merger. And then the step 3 is that each club must fulfill all its financial obligations to Rotary, which is the payment of your membership dues, everything like that has to be up to date. And then step 4 is that we have to complete and submit the following merger application with an updated membership list. And so that's it. That's pretty much what we have to do. But yeah, those are the things. So Jim, if you want to pull this thing back out, that's what it says. So that's kind of where we are. And all we're doing right now is that the representatives from the morning club and from our club are just getting together just to talk about this. That's all it is. There's no commitment of any sort from either club. We're just talking about this and investigating the possibility of this to happen. That's what the vote was at the special board meeting.
Right. Thank you,
John,
Jane.
can I say something?
Sure.
Yes, please.
You know, this was brought up, and I told both John and Jay, I said, look, I don't, it's up to the two clubs to do what they want, but I said, the two things that we need to remember is how best are we going to serve over the next 5-10 years the residents of South Whidbey.
Yep.
And number two, that whatever we do, we always, when we're treating each other, remember the four-way test.
Yep.
And if we keep those two overarching things in mind, then we're going to succeed and we're going to be better off. It may or may not be a merge, but at least if we keep those two things in mind, then that's really the two overarching things. Don't you agree, Jane?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's about promoting Rotary. That's what it's all about.
Right. Sharon?
Yes, and I brought this up at the meeting earlier that we have a lot of new members and they don't know the members of the morning club. So I think we need to have opportunities over the next number of months, especially when we can have real meetings, for us to get acquainted with each other. Because if you are a new member like Mary, you're probably not a good example because you already know everybody. But Charles doesn't know anyone in the morning club. And so we need to get acquainted with each other. I think that's a very important part of pulling this all together in a very positive way.
Right. And one of the things, Sharon, thank you for that. And I absolutely agree. And also for our Zoom meetings, this is our third, right? Each of the meetings we have invited, I personally invited the morning club and Ray's here and with Mary, and also the both Oak Harbor clubs, and James from the Peace Arch Journal. He's wanted to join. He's been invited every single time. So what we're doing is reaching out to everyone to join our club virtually, in a sense. So as we go forward, I think it'll be pretty cool. So any other questions, then we'll move on. Yes, Rick, please.
I have one comment. We've also talked about doing things like joint projects.
Yes, right. When we
and
can, right?
talked about that. So that would be another way for us to interact and get to know the other club members.
Yeah.
The other club members.
When we can, you're right. And Jim, you mentioned earlier that we've got 2 miles plus 2 miles of highway cleanup back to back from both clubs. So actually that's 8 miles, 4 miles each side, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there to show our solidarity out there when we can. Rick, yes.
Yeah, not a question as much as a comment to Ray. Ray, could you make arrangements with your PR folks to, if it's not Bruce still, to invite us or give us the link to your Zoom meeting so that our club can join yours?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I can make that happen tonight.
Thanks.
Okay, good. And actually, Rick, that's a good point. I did get it, and I was on theirs last week. In fact, that's the reason that Ashley's here. And so at this point, I'd like to be in 6 o'clock. Ashley, you're muted. Okay, you're unmuted. Welcome, Ashley. I met Ashley all of less than a week ago. We were, and again, it's bigger than what it seems. the Whidbey Island Consortium, through the leadership of Bruce, our AG, has pulled all 4 clubs together. And what we did last week, as he mentioned, was to give $1,000 to the Atlas STEAM project run by Ashley. Ashley also just received her MBA, and I'm really excited about that. And I know she is too. And so, gosh darn, Ashley, could you take it from here, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
The interesting thing about my particular MBA was I was part of the very first cohort at the University of Washington Foster School. And we are able to then have this thing called a hybrid MBA in terms of how it's delivered. So I got to guinea pig for the entire University of Washington at this point, and especially the Foster School. We were the ones who showed them how to do online coursework. We would go in maybe 4 days per quarter for an intensive immersion on site, but the rest of the time, we had people across the US who were part of these classes and who would have synchronous courses once a week, depending on what class was in rotation. And so I spent 2 years getting my MBA, and a whole lot of it was on Zoom. So this is a very familiar format for me. So I know many of you, and you know me by the underwater robotics that I do. So if you're familiar with the underwater robotics team who went to Romania, or any of the other sort of little underwater robotics kiddos that you see, that's what I've been doing for probably the past decade. So this year, what happened? Well, we've always been a community supported team. So our space is donated by St. Peter's. People like the Hennies at Whidbey have supported us with Wi-Fi and financial support over the years. And we have a policy where kids who are interested in STEM, which are science, technology, engineering, and math, the problems facing our world right now are such that we can't leave anybody on the sidelines if they have the brain power and the interest to solve these problems, either technology, through mathematics, through bioengineering, or all of these people who are racing to try to find this virus, they're all from STEM. So we have it that no kid has to pay to be on part of a team. Obviously, that's more to support for materials and things like that. But to participate on a team, you are absolutely given access, and it does not depend on the financial status of your family or what they are able to donate or pay. Because what we do is we go out send the kids out into the community, and they basically raise all of their funds. So we're truly like 100% a community sponsored team. So this year we had 3 different teams. The students participating were age 7 through 15. And of course, all of the competitions were canceled. So they were looking around, and we saw the Providence Hospital organization site when they started the 100 million mask project. I'm going to do a little side tangent here for masks. So you guys might not know, but there is an absolute army of sewers who are sewing masks here on the island. Just this week, they surpassed 3,500 masks that have been sewn and given to organizations like our hospitals, Good Cheer, Payless, all of the people up there. They just got the call from the base up in Oak Harbor when the word came down from the CDC that everybody had to be wearing masks out in public. So there are so many people who would love to, have sewers come in. They're on Facebook, and it's Whidbey Personal Protective DIYers. And they also just launched their website this week. So I would say, please don't give to good cheer because lots of people have and they don't need them for themselves. But people in your church groups and things like that, absolutely give them to people who might not be able to make them or might not be able to access them. And if you want to join the group, they could always use, you know, more people who are sewing masks. Coming back around. So there we are, we're 100% community oriented and found this basically what you all remember as probably like the TV spot that they did. Also in their print media, we were able to see that on some of the tables when the staff of Providence went together and they said, okay, we can make a mask. We're gonna have people, you know, sew these masks for us. We don't have enough. We also noticed that there was vinyl and foam to make face shields. So the face shields basically look like this. So they go over the face and they keep spatters and everything from touching their skin and also protect the masks that they're wearing. So they're wearing those very important either surgical masks or they're wearing an N95, which means that it will take 95% of the bioparticulates that are 0.03 out of that respiration coming in. So we saw that and we said, well, we could do that. I mean, we're engineers. We do all sorts of precision work all the time. And also our motto is safety first. And every single action that we take to build a bot always starts with safety. So it is ingrained basically in our culture. So we thought that safety and making things were things that we could do. So we contacted them, we got their pattern, we looked at some other patterns, and then the kids got together. Some of the little kids couldn't do anything, but the kids decided that because they were the community team, and we have a, so we have a paradigm probably, I would say, which is to pay it forward. So every time that we get money from the community, we have to then honor that gift and pay it forward. We've done it through the fair, we've done it through hands-on outreach, we've done it any number of ways of giving back to the community and making sure that the gift that we were given gets passed on. So all of these little kids who are 7 and 9 and 11 decided that what they wanted to do is that they were going to take all of the money that they had left over, that they had raised to build their bots, and they were going to buy the materials to make these for people and to make these for the hospitals and make these for our community. So with that basic seed money, we went out and we started buying the first vinyl and the foam and the tape that we needed to make the face shields. We also had 3D printers and we found doctors in Montana who had made a 3D printed mask. And so this mask has a gasket. So you're hearing a lot that people who are, they're running out of N95 masks, those really special masks. Well, this has a gasket for having a really tight seal against the face, the nose, around the face. But then it also has this filter. So you can put a piece of surgical mask or a cut up N95. So basically an N95 is a single use, but they're making them, like even at Children's Hospital, they're making them wear 5 hours per use. I mean, it's not a good place to be at all. So you can cut up an N95 into 4 and thereby make it 4 single use, because you would put the filter onto your frame and then that goes into your mask. And so the doctors in Montana actually tested this with the filter here and then the gasket, and they were able to have really high rated tests. We've done things like we add a bead of epoxy on the outside. We're about underwater robotics, so we're very, very concerned about any seepage coming in. So you don't want any air coming in around the gasket. So you want a really tight seal. So we're making these. We have printer people in our club. We have a number of adults who've joined us. Sort of famously, we have someone who's part of the 501st Legion, which if you're a Star Wars fan, these are the cosplay guys who go and they're stormtroopers. And they're like the only ones in The Mandalorian when you have army scenes of stormtroopers who actually can march in a straight line. They're also very philanthropic, so he has sent a bunch of stuff out sort of around the nation to also tell those guys about the masks. So we started making these. We started making our face shields. The younger kids couldn't really participate in making the face shields because we are working on biohazard protocols. So right now behind me, I'm in the Clinton Community Hall, and so I'm right by the window, so that's how come I look all glowy. So they couldn't come because to work here, you have to be masked, but also before you arrive, you have to have the full shower, change into brand clean clothes immediately before leaving and then coming directly here. And then when you go home, what you want to do, because you've been around people who aren't in your home, you want to dump everything at the door and then, go take a shower and sort of like do the process in reverse. So anyone who comes and volunteers, it is just to keep people really, really safe. So what we do here is we get all of the 3D printed pieces from printers all the way from Oak Harbor, probably to about Redmond. And then we put on gaskets, we seal it, we do all of the face shield making here. The kids who were part of the older group, some couldn't do it because their families have highly susceptible people in their family. And so they're basically on quarantine and isolation for some of them. Others are doing 3D printing. And then the ones who can leave their homes and following the protocol come here and help make face shields. We have other volunteers who are also coming in. So today, just today, we were able to deliver another 450 of the face shields to Island Hospital in Anacortes. And also what Island Hospital in Anacortes asked us was they had essentially a valve or a little valve coupling that went to a fanny pack ventilator that then goes to the hood that they put over a COVID patient. What they discovered is that the piece, which was this nice long tube with a little connector that attached between the ventilator and the hood, was not available and was out of stock until August, which meant if they couldn't figure out a way to fix this, that they would then, every single ventilator that used up this pipe and used up that little connector, they would then be down that ventilator. They would not be able to put another person on that ventilator. So they got a hold of us and they said, hey, can you make this piece for us? So we sent it to the most trustworthy drafter that we could find who knew all about 3D printing. We had it drafted. The files got sent back to us. We did a test run on a number of different printers because different machines, print differently, and just sent that up. And so they have picked it, it works. And we're now going to make 30 of those little couplers for island hospitals so they can actually use the ventilators and keep them in service instead of running out. The other thing that we're also doing is, this is sort of new. So you can see it has a number of different spots. Well, these are to go in back of your head. And you might be hearing that a number of health professionals and people who are wearing the mask a lot, they're getting chafed and raw behind their ears because they have to wear the mask so often now. So we actually have been sending this. One of the moms of a team member is a neonatal ICU nurse. And so we have sent about 100 of these out, and they're now at neonatal ICUs at Children's Hospital, at Providence, Harrison, Northwest Hospital, and I forgot the fifth one. These are also going to Carriage and Island Hospital, or Would-Be General or Health, whatever name it is now. And so these are going all over. Carriage is getting about 75 of these, you know, to keep all of their staff safe. We're also sending them to Would-Be General and a number of the nursing homes and assisted living here on the island. We have been getting people saying, hi, I have a nephew who lives in the Bronx and they're desperate. You know, can you send anything out of state? People will say, hi, I have my niece, you know, works in Seattle or works in California, and can I please get something for them? So we see this as sort of a process. We know that we have flattened the curve, and a lot of people are saying, oh, well, great, that means that we've beat it, right? We flattened the curve, we did what we, you know, we're supposed to do, but all we've done is made sure that we haven't overloaded our medical staff yet. But even in Seattle, we still have people who are very tired. We have people like the staff at Carriage who, you know, they should have 140 staff and they're down to 75. So it's not really going to end. We are just keeping the system from collapsing. So we're doing really good at trying to keep our systems going. So we're probably going to go for a while. Our biggest challenge so far has been, as you can well imagine, is the supply chain. Trying to see how to get the materials that we need in the time that we need them. Someone asked me, you know, have you ever worked on a project like this? Well, I've worked on very logistical, challenging projects. I have never worked on one that was life or death. I have never worked on one where you can literally be on the phone with a sales agent saying, yes, I have these, I'm getting you 20, and within 30 seconds of them saying, yes, I see them in stock, they go to put them and it evaporates in an instant and there's nothing. So sort of the challenges that we're facing, I have been able to call on people like Lori Davenport at Casey's Crafts, she donated our first big roll of vinyl, and then we got about 300 pounds of vinyl since. We have people all over the island looking for elastic for us. The Cotton Mask Battalion, who is so fabulous, we have runners that are literally going up and down the island 3 times a week, getting things from up north, bringing it down south, taking things from south, taking it up north, people stopping, you know, midway. So it's been interesting. I'm also working with a logistical team of Island County Emergency Management. So we're getting information back and forth, like what I can provide, you know, who are they trying to need. The thing that everyone on island right now is trying to do is not duplicate efforts, which I would say, please don't give masks to Good Cheer. Because so many people, Good Cheer has asked people who've given into it, then people just show up and say, here, we're giving you more. I do believe, though, that what they're doing is simply giving them to their clients, and other people who might not have access to them, might not be able to sew, may not have friends who have sewing machines or, you know, even money or a home, you know, as they are trying to keep themselves safe. So that's in part what we're doing. We are here at the Clinton Community Hall. We were trying to find someplace. The robotics is located at St. Peter's, but we couldn't use St. Peter's because all of their floors are carpet. And so we can't do this on a carpeted, in a carpeted room because I can't keep it sanitary enough. So we were looking around and we found the community hall, and their board stepped up immediately and said, we can think of no higher use for a community hall than to aid the community in time of crisis. So that's how come, you know, that's what you see behind me. And way back there, you can sort of see right through there, that's where we're doing all of the gasket work. And Haley, who was one of the team members to go to Romania, she's now on the board of Atlantis. And so she's coming up from Seattle 4 days a week. And so she's running sort of the final quality assurance of the mass and getting everything set for the ones that are heading out currently.
Ashley?
Yes.
What are your greatest needs right now that possibly we could help individually or collectively?
I desperately need 1 inch or 3/4 inch elastic. So we were able to get a whole bunch off because someone was opening in a drawer and it, you know, everything fell out of the drawer on the floor, and she found all of this elastic. So that was put on my doorknob, you know, at my house. And so we're able to, you know, get stuff, people to help run things up and down the island, people who feel well enough and are able to follow, you know, sort of the biohazard protocols. You know, so essentially what we're doing when we shower and we put on clean clothes is we're protecting each other. It's not that we're really worried about infecting a face shield because everyone's masked and we have gloves. But it really is about protecting each other. For Atlantis, we did not need to buy N95s. We didn't need to buy gloves. We didn't need to buy disinfectant wipes or hand sanitizer or even toilet paper because we had that. Those were part of our protocols already because I give 7-year-olds 900-degree soldering irons. We use lead in solder. I mean, so we have a whole lot of don't touch your face, don't put your fingers in your mouth, go wash your hands. So we have a whole lot of those protocols anyway. So this was essentially something that we understood really well about why it was necessary and how to keep things clean. So when someone said, well, you know, why don't you just, you know, open it up, just ask anybody to come volunteer. And I said, I trust my kids, you know, these young middle school and young high school kids who live this protocol, you know, to be able to follow it more than I do some adults.
Right.
So that's who's there.
Mm-hmm. Ashley, we had talked, I guess it was last Tuesday, possibly involving the Interact and as well as the Key Club. And it turns out that that's, although it's a good idea, right now it probably won't work just in that they're off. And so I don't know if Bill or Ed would like to comment, but we'd like to work at the high school, but I don't see that that's going to happen.
I would say it would be individuals rather than club.
Yeah.
Because you really just sort of wanted, you know, who are the kids who, you know, will show up and do the fair, you know, 4 days a week or 4 days in a row. Who are the kids who step up in their community, who sort of have the mindset for doing this?
Yeah.
It really does take a mindset.
Yeah.
John, I think we might be able to include that question in that profiler that we're trying to send out to see which kids might be interested, because there very well could be some kids that would be, even though they're not all gathering, they may individually be interested in participating.
Right. Good. I think that's a good idea. And Ashley, if you're okay, I'd like to open it up for questions for anyone here.
Yes, and also we have a lot of adult volunteers, so it doesn't have to be kids. It's just, those are the ones who started it. They put in the money. They're also, the younger kids who can't participate are writing cards of thanks and drawing pictures. And so we're trying to send sort of cards of cheer, of thanks, to all of the people who are actually getting the PPE.
Right. In fact, one of the things that I've on my plate to do is to contact we're the charter organization for Cub Scout Pack 214 and see if they and maybe the Boy Scout troop can write letters that could go such as to pay less, thank the
Yes, exactly.
workers and et cetera. So why don't we open it up for questions at this point, please? Ray? Unmute.
Okay. I just have a comment about Ashley. I was telling after our meeting last week, I was telling my good friend Jim Scullin about her. He says, "Oh, I know Ashley," and he says, "You know, she's been involved with Hearts and Hammers for several years, and every year, the most difficult project that we have, we give to her because she has the power to get it done. She's able to get whatever they need there and in time, and so that's a pretty good reference coming from somebody I've known for a long time. So thank you, Ashley."
Thank you.
Ashley, do you need more 3D printers in action?
Yes, so we have a call out to 3D printers. So we are trying to make sure that everyone's coordinated. So our good buddies, the Whidbey Wildcats at Oak Harbor, their robotics club is part of it. We've got 3D printers down here on the south end, like at the machine shop, and others with our club. We've got those.
We've got a couple, so we could start printing for you. And also, if we could get something, I could post it on my Facebook page or my LinkedIn page, and I've got a lot of friends that I could reach out to for you to get engaged.
Absolutely, that would be great. Thank you so much, Janice.
Hey, Ashley, this is George Henney. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, just a quick question. How are you accommodating different facial structures in the masks? So some people have, well, they just have different shapes of faces.
Can you bring me the different sizes of the ones that are done? So one of the things, so what we call medium, which is 95% scale, that would be what is called like an N95 regular. So that's at 95%. A large would be like 100% scale. Carriage wanted an extra large, so we printed it at 110. We've also got smalls and extra smalls. So what we've done is that we have sized them to your standard N95 size. So this, if it doesn't quite fit, like usually you will have like the piece of metal there that you would do it. What you do with the plastic is you would just dip it into hot water, or you would just take a hair dryer and just warm it up just to soften it, and then you can shape, like if the nose piece doesn't quite fit. But the gasket, there you go. So see, it's about 1/8 of an inch off. So that helps it so you're not totally stuck, just with this exterior shape. So the gasket really helps it fit. So, and there's multiple sizes, just like there is with an N95. So this is close to the shape, and the heat allows you to shape it if you want to. So Haley's going to be coming with various sizes, so you can see the difference in between the sizes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if you could use a form of facial mapping the way that Apple uses facial mapping to use for Face ID, for example. I'm just thinking out loud, but might want to look into that.
We can, but that would require that the overworked people in the medical facilities are able to, stand in the thing, have the right thing, have the stuff. So I really hope that someone's working on that, George. I mean, I really do hope. At this point, you can see, so there's the extra large, the medium, the small, and the extra small. So you can go from this size to the extra large. Oops, here. There we go. So
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks very much. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Great. Are there other questions? Sharon,
Yeah, I have
did
a
you?
question, Ashley.
Yes.
You know, N95 are supposed to be used and then thrown away after use. How do you re-sanitize or whatever your plastic part of the mask to be used over and over again?
It's actually way easier because soap and water works great. Hospitals and other healthcare facilities actually have their own protocols. You're able to throw away the little filter that you've already done. Some people get very desperate, and so they keep the little piece of filter and then they leave it aside for like 7 days, hopefully to get out of the bacterial life cycle. I'm sure people in New York are having to do something like that, or desperate enough, I should say, that they're trying anything. So in these, after you're done, you would simply pop the filter out. It comes out, and then you simply wash this. You can take the ties out. We chose to have shoelaces because they have the handy dandy little eyelet. So it goes just right through the hole really easily. So you can just change out the ties if they're contaminated. This whole 3D printed part can be sanitized any number of ways. Soap and water is really good. You can also put it into, if you're taking it home, let's say, you could easily just put it through the sanitation or the sanitizer wash of your dishwasher, you know, things like that. So it's actually easier and faster, and they can soap and water it just right in the hospital.
Great. Are there any other questions of Ashley? Anyone? Sharon, did you have a question? No? Okay, Ashley, with your permission, I will send all of your information to everyone in our club.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then Janice, you could, you know, get on it with her. Good.
This is Whidbey. Kate Poss, who does like an online blog of Whidbey, did one of us, and I can also send that to you.
That would be great. So if you send it to me, I'll send it out to everyone. Do you have any questions of us?
Just stay safe.
Yeah.
That's really the big one. Stay safe, and we're going to have a whole lot of really deep existential questions that we're going to be asking to open up our economy. One of the things you were talking about, people who put the community above their self. I had an interesting talk with someone many of you know, Rob Mellish, who is managing the Whidbey Island banks for, you know, the South End. And he and I have both been working some really crazy hours, but Rob himself has been at the bank Sundays, Saturdays, often till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. He has been personally processing all of those loans for the community. And so he is not like the bank where they're just saying, okay, thanks, here we are, we're gonna send it off to the SBA. He's actually been looking at what the SBA has been rejecting, you know, what will flag anything, what has sent anything back. And so he is personally looking over every single loan application, making sure that every piece of information is there, that nothing will get them kicked back, just to make sure that as many of those loan applications as possible get approved by the SBA. He literally didn't even have an Easter, and just has been working like crazy, you know, Sundays at 4 a.m., right? So that there's a lot of people in the community who are just working so hard to keep it going. And we're, you know, we're just a teeny part of it.
Yeah. Ashley, thank you so much, and God bless you for you and your work and your team. And from all of us at Rotary Club of Whidbey West Side and Rotary Club of South Whidbey and all of Whidbey Island, we thank you. Our hats are off to you and for your leadership, your dedication, and just stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
The way that we can help you, we will. I'll get your key information out to all of our members, and then have at it. Get a hold of Ashley and see how individually we can all help her. Any other questions or thoughts?
Yeah, Ashley, if you haven't received that check, I don't know if you receive or not, if you haven't in the last few days, get a hold of John.
So was it sent to the post office box?
It should have been, yeah.
Okay, well, it hasn't come as of today.
Okay, thank you.
I'll check on that, Bruce and Ashley. I'll check on that.
Okay.
And can you still use more money?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Good. Good to know. Okay. Anything else? Anyone across the board? No?
Oh, good.
Ashley, thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.